Aloha and welcome to another edition of Key to the Treasure. I am Neil Molokai Mystic, author of Answering the Call Accidentally on Purpose with my sidekick over here.
I'm Nick with my angels.
And this live stream has to do with the quote of the day, digging a little deeper and finding that key to your treasure. So, what is the quote of today, Nick?
There it is.
There it is. Ah, this one. My real life size doll has now become my real life. Um, well, hi, Diana. Happy Friday to you too. I love seeing your smile. Uh, this quote that we're referring to today, I love the picture that you posted with it. I always love the pictures that you use for the quotes. Um, and it took me back. It took me back to that moment, holding my nephew, and he was a lot smaller than this picture, but I was actually a lot smaller than this picture at the time. Um, Hello, Kaylee. Um, in this quote, this was a very powerful moment, and I share this journey of a big yes. This is the chapter of the big yeses in our lives, and I remember holding my nephew uh, the moment that I realized he was mine. I mean, that sounds a little possessive. I
What
understand
do you
this.
mean by he was yours?
I know, and even as a mother, my child is my son, but he's not mine. But in this particular moment, I felt like my nephew was now mine, my real life. And when I say this, it's because um, when I was 10 years old, my sister had a baby. And I remember he had just gotten home and he was sleeping in her room. And I was pacing back and forth. I couldn't wait for this little tiny little baby to wake up. I wanted, and my mind, my imagination is going, and I'm fantasizing how beautiful it's going to be this little boy's auntie. I'm 10 years old, and it was like my real life size doll. I got to I would be able to play with him and really give him a bottle and really change his diaper and all these things I'm imagining this me as an auntie would be able to do. I had no idea that my imagination, my fantasies would be a lot bigger than what I could ever imagine. Because what ended up happening was when this beautiful little boy did wake up, um, he he was screaming, and I ran into the room to find him under the crib, and my sister, uh, who was traumatized in regards to being a mom and everything, she was very young at the time as well. She said she didn't want him. She said, "Get him out of here. Take him. He's yours." And I told her, "If I take him, he's mine. You'll never get him back. He's mine." And she just kept repeating herself. And so I I took him and I held him, and his name means beloved. And that's exactly what I did. And so at 10 years old, I became a mother. So my real life size doll that I had been fantasizing about being an auntie to became my real life. And that was the beginning of a journey that I share in the book in regards to one of my big yeses and how our big yeses stem from other yeses in our lives. And I felt very confident in being able to be this little baby's mother because I had experience.
But do you really mean it? Like, did you really raise this child? Or when you say I became his mother, like, did you help raise this child?
No, he was mine. He was mine. I raised him, and a year later she had another baby, and I also took that one. So by 11, I was a mother of two children. My sister, bless her heart, she was not capable of raising the children. Emotionally, she was self-medicating, and um, it was not a safe situation for the children. And obviously, a newborn being, you know, under a crib, it's not like he got there by himself. Um, but it was meant to be, and I don't regret it. I
And
did raise the
financially,
children.
what happened financially? How did you manage?
I begged. I begged a, a Baskin Robbins manager to hire me, even though I was underage. I could not, dare not, ask for state assistance because I was a child, and I knew that we would all be separated into the foster care system had I done that. And it was a good workout in regards to raising the kids and being able to go to school at the same time, for a while, for a short while. By 14, that all changed. But I went to school during the day, and my mother would watch the children for me. And then when I, after school, if I had any after school activities, I'd have to run home, load them up, and take them back to school with me. And everybody used to think, oh, how sweet, you're watching your siblings. No, these are mine, So um, you make it work. You do what you need to do, you know. Um, and yeah, it's hard, but you do what you need to do. Um, and at the first couple of weeks in the ninth grade, my mom said that she wasn't going to be able to do that anymore. She was working nights, so it worked out, you know. But she got sick, and I needed to drop out of school and take care of the babies and my mom. Um, so when I say I didn't really have a childhood, I really didn't have a child. I had to grow up very, very fast, but I don't regret it. Um, but this chapter really is, yes, I do share my journey of my yeses, but it really is about how our yeses link to each other. Because there was a big yes prior to this big yes, and that was at 7, where I said yes to a babysitting job. And I had 3 babies that I babysat at 7 years old. Who in their right mind would leave their kids with a 7-year old? I don't know, but they did. And so I did get experience. I had a newborn, a toddler, and a kindergartner that I used to watch. And so I did have experience. And so my fantasy of being an auntie, and this is another point that I want to make, is that what we can imagine. Like when I was imagining being an auntie to my nephew, um, it was the magnificence of everything I could imagine. And this is a good reminder to everybody that what we can imagine is God has another plan, and it's even better.
Yeah.
You know, it's even better. Here I'm thinking I'm just going to be an auntie to this beautiful baby, and I was blessed to be his mother. You know,
Until what age did the two babies stay with you, solely with you, like as a mother? Oh,
until I was 17.
17?
17.
17.
And this is where their birth mother, my sister, came to me and said she was going to take them, and I said no. uh, not very nicely, mind you. But she, see, because I always had to be in touch with her because of paperwork, signatures. I remember I could not go to the state. I would not go to the state because I would not risk my kids being separated. Um, and so one day she said that she was going to move up north and she was taking the babies with her. And I was like, oh hell no. Okay. So we had a very uh, passionate discussion, you know, um, and she threatened to call the state, knowing that that was my biggest fear, um, and said, you're not even 18, you know. See, she was slick. She knew to do it before I hit 18. Um, and she said you would all be put into foster care and you all be separated. She knew what my fear was, and so she
Yeah,
played on that. And so I finally agreed, as long as I had a stipulation. I said I won't fight you as long as you go and you stay with my one of my aunties up north, because she had a daycare center at home and I knew that the children would be taken care of. So it was a heart wrenching decision.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Um, and for the longest time, I felt so guilty about that. But I could not let my babies be separated. I would not let my babies be separated. But that particular moment with that quote, that moment of holding my son and knowing what his name meant and what he deserved and what I wanted to give him. Um, like I said, guys, what we can imagine for ourselves, God has such bigger plans for us. You know, it really taught me that God was listening to my heart and wanting to be there for this child. And seconds later, after my little imaginary pacing back and forth, waiting for this little thing to wake up, you know, was a big wake up for me because I went from auntie to mommy in a matter of not even minutes.
Yeah.
Um, but that's where, and I had put it in the comments. Um, that's where I felt like my existence had a purpose, and I was determined to fulfill it.
I don't see any comments. I don't know if it's a Facebook thing or, but thank you all for watching. Thank you, Neil, for sharing. I love this part of the story. I really love it. And I was scrolling to choose a quote, and I stopped on here. I knew someone needed today to listen to this message. So thank
Oh,
you, Diana.
oh, thank you, Diana. Well, thank you, guys, and I hope you all love the quotes. I look forward to seeing them myself because I never know what Nikki's going to put up. So there's your little key to your treasure. You know, don't limit your imagination because you put it out there in the universe and God has a bigger and better plan for you. So, all right. It is
Thank you.
aloha from me.
And good night from me.